Good day to you, Ninth and O. This is Devotionables, brief devotions for busy people. I'm Brandon, one of your ministry assistants. It's good to be with you today. Our Bible reading brings us today to Ephesians 6. And from that, I want us to think about what happens when we come face to face with our enemy. Now, several years ago, I was with a youth group, and they took us to play paintball. And the two opposing teams go at it, shooting each other with paintballs. You know how it goes. And we were playing capture the flag. Now, because I stayed low to the ground, I missed a lot of the paintballs, and I ended up being the only person left on my team. So I ran to the other side, paintballs whizzing past my ears, and I grabbed the opposite team's flag, and I'm running towards my base and jump in a ditch. And as I'm gathering my breath, I'm thinking, I don't know how I missed all of those paintballs. This is amazing. And I'm catching my breath, and something moves out of the corner of my eye, and I look over, and it is a buddy of mine from the opposing team. And I came face to face with my enemy that day on the paintball field. And, he showed no mercy. And so within a matter of seconds, he shot me with a paintball, and the other team won. For us as Christians, our enemy is found in the world, the flesh, and the devil. And Paul records for us in the end of Ephesians about putting on the whole armor of God in such a way that protects you and I from our enemy that we face. And so as we look there, we find verse 10 tells us to finally be strong in the Lord and in the strength of His might. Put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. And then throughout there, he describes for us the armor of God to put on these things. So therefore, verse 13, take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having all to stand firm. And then he lists the clothing there, the armor. And so we're to put these things on and allow God to be our strength as we face our enemy. Now, all of that to say is that our sword in the battle is God's Word. When we know God's Word, we're more apt to be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. And so to think about that, we need to be students of God's Word. We always need to learn and read more. There'll never be a point when we come to say that we have found all there is to know of God's Word. So we continue to study it. And secondly, I want us to think about how we engage in the battle. Now, a lot of our Christian life is dealing around intercessory prayer, praying for others. And in verse 18, it records for us praying at all times in the Spirit with all prayer and supplication. To that end, keep alert with all perseverance, making supplication for all the saints. Well, that is to say that we engage in battle with our prayer life. As a summer missionary at the age of 18, I was sent to the Cayman Islands. I know, tough assignment, but I don't like the beach. And I was there for about a week, and I went to play the piano in the church there as a break. And someone from the church took me, after they heard me play the piano, to a local nursing home there on the island. And all this time they said, we'll take you to see one of our most important members, Miss Polly. And as an 18-year-old, I thought, your most important member lives in a nursing home. What do they have to offer? Well, when I met Miss Polly, who was blinded by diabetes, well into her 80s, we went into her room, and the lady that took me began to read to her the prayer concerns of the church. And it was at that point Miss Polly began to pray. And Miss Polly prayed for all of the needs of the church. And I say that to say, Miss Polly then looked at me as an 18-year-old kid and said, prayer is one of the most important tools that we as Christians can possess. And isn't Miss Polly right? That is, that we engage in battle with our prayer life against the enemy, the devil. So intercessory prayer should be important to the life of the believer. And so as we go today, what are you putting on? Now it's cold outside, and we're bundling up. But as you go on to put on that coat, put on those gloves, maybe that hat to keep yourself warm, I want you to think about God's Word in Ephesians 6, where He tells us to put on the spiritual armor of God. And as you go out, I want you to rest and trust that God is protecting us from the enemy as we put on this spiritual armor. And then as we face the battles, remember our battle buddies. Those people around us who are our Christian brothers and sisters who need us to intercede and to pray for them on their behalf. Because, well, church, we need one another. And many of us may face battles that we won't talk about. So we need to be about praying for others so that they too can face the world, the flesh, and the devil and win by the strength that God alone can provide. Blessings to you today.